Hello, everyone. It is Friday, and this is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host Emily Compagno and Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth and Fox & Friends weekend co-host Pete Hegseth. Well, we are just hours away from President Biden's first campaign speech of the new year. What do you expect? Well, it appears that the president, who promised to be a uniter in chief, he has said it over and over, is set to sow more division throughout the country. The president's remarks in Pennsylvania won't be focused on pressing issues like the economy, the war in Israel, crisis on our southern border. There's a lot of pressing issues. Instead, he'll be setting his sights on so-called MAGA extremists. The president hasn't been able to effectively tout big wins or major accomplishments because he has so few. So he's leaning in on this so-called threat to democracy messaging while battling exceptionally low poll numbers. This won't be the first time we've seen him do this either. You'll remember ahead of the midterms, he gave a primetime speech titled "The Continued Battle for the Soul of the Nation." I call it the Blood Red MAGA speech. That's where he chose to attack Americans he described as MAGA Republicans. And it appears the Biden campaign is doubling down on this divisive messaging. Check out his brand new political ad released ahead of today's speech.
There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching.
You know, it's a curious messaging indeed, Pete. You know, I worked for the Trump campaign. I was their press secretary as we were developing the messaging for his big rollout in his Orlando announcement back in June of 2019. And we said, you know, what do we want to tell the American people? We've got the best economy in modern history. We've got wages that are soaring. We've got peace around the world. We've got a secure southern border. We can't fit it all in. Biden's campaign team sat before the midterms. What do we say? And he had this to say. Watch, Pete.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. The Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Well, of course, Joe and his team can't hold that kind of meeting that you held because they don't have any accomplishments to stand on, to point to say, yeah, this is, and in fact, you look at the Trump campaign, an ad they just released, I believe, yesterday or today, which points to the differences between now and 3.5 years ago on the economy, on the border, on quality of life issues, on crime. They will continue to do that because it will be a narrative of, you know, is your life better off now than it was 4 years ago? Joe can't do any of that. The only thing that surprises me about this is that they're starting this early. I mean, that blood red speech you're talking about was September of 2022. It was kind of the panic button of the midterms, and they think it worked. So now we're going to endure this for an entire year. And to be clear, it's not just Donald Trump. It's the people that support him. So far, this backlash has meant more support for Trump in the primaries. We'll see how this cuts in a general election. This is going to get dark and dangerous fast because they got one note and they're going to keep playing it on the keyboard over and over again.
They're going to keep, we saw it all through the midterms, Harris, but at the same Blood Red MAGA speech, he did try to sew in some messages of unity. I'm not a president of Red America or Blue America, all America, while in front of that blood red background.
Wow. Look, it is interesting to me that this comes at a time when it looks like there's going to be a really big difference between Donald Trump and the rest of the pack. Now, we haven't come out of New Hampshire yet, and Nikki Haley's doing well. So is Ron DeSantis. He's in second place in Iowa. But there's still a big gap between first and second and third and fourth for Vivek Ramaswamy and then further on with Chris Christie. So why does that matter? It makes it seem like, well, if it's going to be Trump, I mean, I think Biden would fear them all because statistically they all can beat Biden at this point, projected. But he's looking across the aisle and he's thinking, I don't have the rallies, I don't have the energy, the only thing I have is the hate. And the hate worked last time. Hate the opposition and we also will hate the opposition supporters.
Yeah.
And we'll just start that early, and if you're not Hillary Clinton, it'll work for you. And so that's what we're going to see. And he's not going to debate anybody. I don't even know if he would debate whomever the primary, would take on as its nominee or would decide for its nominee on the Republican side. But Biden doesn't plan to do that. He's going to do it through the ads and through these, dark and scary. I'm surprised he didn't wear the alien glasses that he likes to wear. I mean, you talk about a dark days coming. Yeah, I worry politically where this country is going, because on his side of the aisle, people are going to sit home. He's losing the black vote now. He's losing the Hispanic vote by percentages, shedding double digits. Those people won't vote for him. Doesn't mean that they'll skip and vote Republican, but he's got a lot of work to do. So if he wants to focus on Donald Trump, go right ahead.
And his campaign team has already said, we don't know if we're debating tempering expectations. So interesting to see.
Exactly.
Emily, I want to juxtapose what we just saw against some of the campaign opening salvos we've heard from Trump as an incumbent, from Obama as an incumbent. To be clear, Trump called out the radical left. He did talk about the danger of socialism, but there was a lot of positivity. And I want to play both of these candidates to compare what we've seen from Biden.
The fact is, the American dream is back. It's bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America great again.
We did these things together, not because they benefited any particular individual or group, because they gave us all opportunity, because they moved us forward together as one people, as one nation. That's the true lesson of our past, Ohio. That's the right vision for our future. And that's why I'm running for president.
Very different tones.
Absolutely. The hallmark of leadership, the hallmark of the American presidency is always one of hope. It's one of acknowledgement of the sufferings that Americans go through and sitting down next to the Americans. It's listening to them. But it is always one of hope and optimism. Nothing else works. It's like when you're a kid in your household. You take your tone from your parents. They show dejection and despair. The children absorb that, and it's really important for our commander-in-chief to do the same while acknowledging reality. So taking your guys' analogies, a step further, so he's hitting the note over and over again. The note's in the past. And the fact that he is rehashing over and over again, January 6th, when Americans have moved on, we've moved past it. I don't want to keep hearing it because there's no acknowledgement of what Americans are going through now. And this hate that you touched on, it's a manufactured hate on their part. They just dropped $500,000 for an ad about January 6th. Move on, Commander-in-Chief. Acknowledge what the Americans are going through now. Listen to us.
But everything is different now. I think we need to open our eyes that we're in a new political frontier, a new political era where a lot of the stuff of the past no longer matters. I mean, when I used to work in politics, you could change heart and minds up until Election Day. You can't do that anymore. People are more solidly on teams now. They're less persuadable than they were before. In 2016, August of 2016, in the lead up to the election, 20% of voters were undecided. A lot of those voters broke for Trump. That's different now. By the time we got around to the Pennsylvania debate between Fetterman and Oz, you'd already had something like almost half of mail-in ballots had already been sent in. They were already locked in. So the dynamics are just totally different now. So I think we need to open our eyes and start to look at politics, look at the 2024 election in a new way, a different way, because it's all different.
Pete, and finally, Politico says this because people argue, the blood red worked for the midterms because Republicans didn't have a red wave. But they say this post-election analysis suggested Democrats prevailed in places where they convinced voters to take the MAGA threat seriously and suffered in places where that message didn't break through. I argue this is a different cycle when Biden is on the ballot, when his name is there.
For sure. I also think the straw man is wearing very thin, to your point, of extremism. Take the military, for example. They snuck out a report just before Christmas that showed that extremism is not an issue in the military. In fact, it's lower per capita than the general population. But they were screaming about white rage and extremists and stand-downs and extremism working groups. People have had the time to look around and say, you know what? Trump wasn't extreme. He just wanted to maintain law and order and maintain the border. And you didn't like his tweets or his rhetoric. But, man, my life was better. So I think that straw man is wearing thin. And that is an old note, but it's the only one they got.
Everything you ate and everything you put in your car was cheaper.
Yeah.
Including the energy for those who choose to drive in the very expensive, very heavy EVs.
Well, it's pretty obvious he can't convince people of his record, so he's trying to convince them that the other side's worse. It's a look over their strategy.
It is a weird strategy.
I'll
we
be-
use it
what
in
else
any
you-
other form
I'll
of
be
your
watching.
life.
I'll be watching at 3:15. I look forward to being yelled at along with the rest of you, America.
Do you?
New accusations are now emerging from the second release of Epstein documents, including claims that former President Bill Clinton threatened the media over its coverage of his, quote, good friend.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.